Lena, thank you. Opening statements are underway in a New York City courtroom in the hush money trial of former President Donald Trump. Former president saying once again the trial is election interference. KTLA's Eric Spillman live now in the newsroom with the latest. Eric, good morning.
Morning, Jessica. Judge Juan Merchan gave some instructions to the jury this morning when court started. He reminded them that prosecutors must prove that Donald Trump committed the crimes he's accused of beyond a reasonable doubt, and that they must find Trump not guilty if the burden of proof is not met. The judge also told jurors not to research the case or read about it. Show you some pictures now of Trump sitting in, or actually arriving in court this morning. Reporters who are there saying in court he's sitting back in his chair and not looking at prosecutors while they make their opening statement to the jury. Trump is accused of falsifying business records as part of an alleged scheme to bury news stories that might have hurt his presidential campaign back in 2016. That's why it's being called a hush money case. He's charged with 34 felony counts. He's pleaded not guilty. He faces 4 years in prison if convicted. Now, at the heart of the case is a $130,000 payment made by former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen to porn actress Stormy Daniels to prevent her claim of a sexual encounter with Trump from surfacing in the final days of the 2016 campaign. Prosecutors say Trump covered up the true nature of the payment in internal business documents. He has denied having had sex with Daniels. Minutes ago, the prosecutor, Matthew Colangelo, told the jury, quote, "This case is about a criminal conspiracy and a cover-up. The defendant, Donald Trump, orchestrated a criminal scheme to corrupt the 2016 presidential election. Then he covered up that criminal conspiracy by lying in his New York business records over and over and over again." End quote. Trump's lawyers will get a chance to make their opening statement later today.
Opening statements absolutely do matter in the sense that the jury is sizing up the attorneys, how much they trust the attorneys, and the attorneys are giving the jury a roadmap for what to expect. So I don't know that the case will be won and lost on opening statements. I frankly doubt that, but it is important. It's setting the table.
Trump has complained repeatedly that the trial is keeping him away from the campaign trail during his run for the White House, and he said the same thing to reporters this morning.
These are all Biden trials. This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning, and it's very unfair.
Once opening statements are finished, the prosecution will call the first witness, and that could turn out to be David Pecker, former publisher of the National Enquirer. Prosecutors say Pecker met with Trump to work out a deal to help cover up negative stories about Trump. Later in the trial, prosecutors will call their star witness, Trump's former attorney and fixer Michael Cohen, and you can expect Trump's lawyers to try and portray Cohen as a serial liar with an axe to grind against Trump. If he's convicted, Donald Trump can still serve as president if he wins the election, but if he does win, he would not be able to pardon himself because it is a state prosecution, not a federal prosecution. Frank?